issue of the identity of Jesus seems to be a very hot topic on YouTube these days, with three disagreeing camps. The Muslims who deny that God can have a son, and the traditional Christians who say that he is God the Son, co-equal, co-eternal with the Father, eternally begotten, which is a very hard concept to get hold of. The brain really doesn't make much of eternally begetting as a concept that one can grasp at all. And then the third camp, a minor tradition from the Reformation time onwards, a lot of top scholars also today, who maintain that Jesus is the Son of God because of Luke 1:35, where explicitly an explicit basis is given for Jesus being the Son of God, because Gabriel says to Mary, therefore, in that passage in Luke 1:35, for this reason precisely, namely the miracle that God is going to effect in Mary, for that reason precisely, dioke in Greek, I'm using modern Greek pronunciation, for that reason precisely he'll be the Son of God, be called the Son of God. Those are exactly the same in meaning. To be called the Son of God is the same as being the Son of God. You can find that easily by comparing with Luke 6:35 and in Matthew the same phrase about Christians being called the Son of God or being the Son of God. It's the same thing. So Jesus is the Son of God on this very simple basis because of the miracle wrought by God in Mary. Nothing, of course, to do with sexual activity. An overshadowing of God was enough to create this miracle. And just as Adam was not created from a sexual union, of course, so Jesus is brought into existence, begotten, that's what that means. The Son of God is brought into existence by the miracle in Mary. Now, it's quite false to say that Jesus didn't call himself the Son of God, as some Muslims are assuming. The New Testament is quite clear. Jesus calls himself the Son of God. Am I wrong? He says in argument with the Pharisees, because I'm making the claim to be God's only Son, God's special Son, and to be the Son of God in a messianic sense. Jesus claimed that. He called God his Father multiple times, long before his resurrection, incidentally. In the historical narratives, in the Gospels, he refers to the Father as his Father, therefore he's calling himself, by implication, the Son. There's no doubt about that. And a very simple basis, as I just mentioned, is given for this in Luke 1:35, also in Matthew's version, which speaks in Matthew 1:20 of that which is begotten, fathered, sired, brought into existence in the womb, in Mary, will be the Son of God, will be Jesus, will be the Messiah. This is very easy. Throughout the New Testament, that's not in question. Everybody knew that Jesus had a supernatural origin as the second Adam. It was only when they moved that Son of God back into a non-human existence, prior to his real existence, that all the confusion and the argumentation began. And we're living with the fruits of nearly 2,000 years of argumentation, really quite unnecessary if we would fix on the simple account of Gabriel's words to Mary in Luke 1:35 and the vision or the dream that came to Joseph in Matthew 1:18 and 20 were clearly the origin of the Son of God, the beginning, the fathering, the bringing into existence, because that's what the word begat actually means in the Greek and English and Hebrew languages. That beginning of the Son is clearly described for us as being supernatural, but he's still human because he began in the womb of his mother.